Meanwhile, a 22-year-old man is in custody after 5 people were killed in shootings in northern France, one of which was at a migrant camp as well. The survivor of the attack has told Sky News how he saw his friends being murdered by what he described as the angel of death. A warning: the following footage does show the aftermath of one of the shootings, and that includes dead bodies. 2 of the victims were migrants killed at the Lune Plage camp, which is near Dunkirk, and 2 further victims are understood to have been security personnel. The 5th person, who was shot dead yesterday afternoon, was shot in a nearby town. Let's have a word with our Europe correspondent Adam Parsons now, who joins us from Dunkirk. And Adam, we hear that there were people who, rightly or wrongly, were trying to make that boat crossing across the channel turn back, soaking wet, get back to wherever they're calling home at the moment, and suddenly this shooting happens. I mean, a terrible experience for all involved. No wonder one of them is describing this person as the angel of death.
Yeah, this is where the shootings happened. Just on that ground behind me is, you can see that blue blanket. That's where one of the victims died. A little bit further away in this scrubland was where another person died. And what happened was that the car that was driven by this 22-year-old Frenchman stopped just on the road here, and he came out with a gun. The migrants were standing there, thought that he was going to fire it in the air, maybe as a warning shot, instead of which he turned it on them, killed 2 people and fired maybe over a dozen shots. A terrifying moment for them. He had already killed somebody else, a 29-year-old businessman in Wermel, which is just down the road from here, and he had also killed 2 security agents just a few minutes earlier, who were 2 men in their 30s. The man, the 22-year-old, that has now been held by the police, he actually handed himself in. He drove to a gendarmerie station, which is actually quite a long way from here. So it was an extraordinary couple of hours of death and mayhem. But so much focus, I think, on these 2 migrants who died just here. Sky News spoke to one of the witnesses, a man called Matan, also a Kurdish migrant. He had been with the 2 victims here over the course of the day. They had spent 8 hours on a boat trying to get to Britain, nearly made it into British waters before their dinghy sank. They went into the water, nearly died there, and the group were then rescued by French authorities. And it was as they walked back, bedraggled from that experience, that they were shot at just here. And Matan gave us some of his memories of what that horrendous experience was like.
We were in the water for 8 hours and almost drowned. They put 85 people in a dinghy, and then police came and took 50 people off. 35 people, including myself and 3 others, stayed on to reach the UK. The police said, "You can go to the UK and we will follow you."
I mean, look terrible for the victims, all the victims and all those people who may care for them, Adam. Any sense of who this was who carried this out and why they did it?
As for your second question, Matt, no, there's so far no indication as to why this person carried it out. Who it was, well, a 22-year-old Frenchman, understood to have been from this area. That hasn't been confirmed yet, but who was in his own vehicle, who killed in Wermel, first of all, then came up here to the coast and killed the 2 migrants and those 2 security agents, understood to work for a private security firm that does a lot of work in looking after the security infrastructure here. As you might imagine, in this area, there's a lot of border fences, a lot of transport infrastructure. There's a port just nearby here, and then drove and handed himself in. When he handed himself in, there were more weapons in his car as it was searched. He's now in custody, facing charges, obviously, of murder, and the French police have already said that these are charges that carry a life sentence. They say that they are now taking, or they're undertaking what they call numerous investigations, one of which is to what was the cause, what led him to carry out this murderous attacks. And I said, this is a man of only 22 years old.
Adam Parsons near Dunkirk for us this afternoon. Thank you very much indeed.